Okay, so I've started recording. So yeah, in there's one correction that I wanted to want to make, which is related to the release of current branch. So initially it was like current branch. The initial proposal was like every 4 months a current branch would come, and then current branch for business would come 4 months after that, right? But later on, it has been changed that somewhere you'll have two releases, but this is not a fixed release cycle, but still somewhere around March and September the current branch would be released, right? And rest all remains same, like what I said, like after 4 months this will be made ready for the business deployment, so CBB. And coming to LTSB, so every 5 years a new LTSB would be released, and it is allowed or can be extended for another 5 years. So that way you are getting 10 years, right? So that means, say suppose in 2017, okay, you get the LTSB media of Windows 10 and you build that machine with LTSB media. So that means that machine will have only the core functionalities. It will not have any for fancy things or um, any new features into it. Now every month you will do the patch management to those Windows 10 machines, LTSB machines, as and when patches are released. But you don't need to upgrade it to the latest version of LTSB for another 10 years, because in the next 5 years we are expecting one more LTSB to be released. However, you can still extend it till another 5 years. So that way you're getting 10 years of support. And so the only difference between these CBCBs and LTSB is the feature update and quality updates. So feature updates are like this we have discussed, but I just did not give a name to it. So I wanted to close this topic in a proper fashion. So feature updates are, as we discussed right yesterday, like any new features to it, new functionalities to it, right? As generally how we get for every new operating system, we get new features into it, right? So such kind of features are called as feature updates, right? And these feature updates will be there in CB and CBB. However, in LTSB, it is only focused on quality updates. When I say quality updates, it is nothing but the same cumulative updates, security updates, right? So any quality updates is part of LTSB. In CB and CBB, you have both feature updates plus quality updates, right? That's the only thing that I missed yesterday. I wanted to cover. Any questions here in Windows as a Service, Summer?
Manoj, if we take the previous type of updates like the service pack or anything, how do we correlate in which of these it would be aligned to? Will it be on feature updates or quality updates for a service pack? So
Service
here I
pack you
think the
can Service pack you can correlate that with quality updates.
quality updates, okay.
Yes, because see, for typically earlier we never had feature updates, like any functionality changes, feature changes, that was never coming as part of a patch or as part of service, right? Those were coming as part of new operating system releases, right? That's where the
Okay.
whole difference of Windows as a service has came up. So earlier, see, for mobile devices, the operating system is provided as a service. Like on your iPhones, this iOS comes as a service. Like every now and then, whenever it gets upgraded, it is coming as a service. Or for Android also, whenever a new operating system is released, it comes as an update, right? That's as a service. Whereas for desktops and laptops, it was never coming as an update or as a service. You have to download the media and you have to do the entire operating system deployment process like migration and all that. So that's how it used to work. So now what they're saying is starting from Windows 10, there will not be any Windows 11, Windows 12. So you don't need to do a upgradation and migration projects as such. So what you will do, so every currently what they're saying is like in March and September they're going to release current branches after proper insider preview testing and all that is done, and before it is business ready it will take 4 months, right? So this will have those feature updates are something which we cannot correlate with the existing thing, right? But the quality updates, so they're going away from the service packs. Service packs are nothing but the cumulative thing with all the security updates. That's what we discussed, right? So the same thing is now part of quality updates, and that is included in the CB, CBB as well as LTSB. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't see anyone else joining, but let me continue the today's topic and today's installation. And before I start with today's topic, let me also do one more thing. So target machine. So if you remember on the other day we have triggered the replace task sequence on this target machine, right? So what exactly happened on this machine? What happened on this machine is like though the machine was built successfully with Adobe, Google and everything, if you have observed the recording on that day, so I waited for almost after the class was over, almost for 1.5 hour that deployment ran, but still after one and a half hour, once the machine was completely ready, I could see there is no user data restored back. I can see the user data captured, but it was not restored. Okay, so I just wanted to complete that as well. Um, we'll not take any session here on that, but we'll let it run parallelly. So the other day, see why the USMT issue had came up was on the target machine we had a C drive as the operating system drive and then D drive as the data disk. Whereas when we build this machine, we found like we have a recovery partition and after that we have one more D drive and finally the actual operating system drive is D drive here. So when it is captured, everything is under C program files or C documents and G users. And when it is trying to restore it back, it says there's no enough space on this device, right? Because C drive is just 350 MB. So let me do one thing. Now delete the other two and make it like I'm targeting it to the Win7 deploy here. USMT restore was the collection name, right? So what is the machine I have under USMT restore? Target win 7. And what all deployments are targeted to this machine? So it has USMT restore only, then it is Windows and deployment task sequence as well as OSD replace scenario. Let me remove these other two deployments. Let's have only OSD replace scenario here.
This is to avoid overwriting, is it? You're removing it?
No, I have put all of them as required task sequences.
Okay.
See, if they were available, that doesn't matter. So when you trigger it, it would
Right.
show all the different task sequences, right?
Right.
But if you're making all the task sequences required, so it would be tough while it is trying to find the exact deployment, right? So that's where the issue will arise. Uh, where am I supposed to do it? Software library, task sequence, USMT restore only, deployments, delete, insert deployment task sequence, delete. Okay, I just have USMT restore now. I mean to say OSD replace scenario, and the other thing I have to do is on the machine we need to remove the PXE flag. Okay, there's no record. Great. No, but it is aborted. Okay, it says there's no record on this. Fine. And if I see what are the deployments targeted to it now? Only the OSD replace scenario. By the way, what's the MAC address? Am I targeting the same machine or the different one? What's the MAC address here? D0120F030001 is the machine. Zero one two zero zero three zero 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 one. Okay, so this is the one. So let me see under the SMS Pixie server, right? So when you don't know why it is aborting, we'll check the log file. Where is it installed? Under C, program files, Microsoft Configuration Manager, logs, SMS Pixie. And what does it say here? So it says no advertisements found for this machine. D0120030001. That's not true. Okay, so what I did was I just deleted the all task sequence deployments on it, right? And I'm deploying a task sequence fresh onto SMT restore. Next. Okay, there you go. It says only configuration manager clients. So that's the reason you're getting this issue. It is not going to the PXE. So ideally you have the option here and it was missing there. Anyways, so let me change that here itself. It's one and the same task sequence, right? Anyways, so only thing is the partition distance to be changed. 40 GB here. Not configuration manager clients, it's everywhere. Next. Okay. Oh, I started a different machine. It's Metadata 01 target machine. Fine, so it has picked the policy. So let it run. So again, it requires us to provide the PXE password. So meanwhile, let me start with WSS installation and HCP. So let the OSD run. So today's actual class, which is software update point, guys, I think I've waited enough to start the patch management and still nobody joined. So let me continue. Maybe Friday night is affecting them.
Must be a heavy night.
Yeah, that's what I said, Friday night.
Yeah.
Happens. Okay, so we have discussed yesterday, like for software update point, the key prerequisite is WSUS, right? So let's go ahead and install WSUS. And how do you do that? You do it from the add rules and features, right? Like we did IAS and WDS we haven't done, so that was automatically picked, I guess, from when we enabled PXE. But this is the place where we do it. So next.
And in an actual scenario, where exactly it should be a different separate server, or it can be on a
Actually, it should be on a separate server because management point and ideally software update point with regards to performance, they are not recommended to be on the same server.
okay.
So in ideal scenario, in ideal situation, you will have them on both different servers. Okay.
And this should be one single server can support all the regions, or separate servers are required.
No, just like how we have management points in a site.
Okay.
So here also
Right.
you can
Right.
have multiple SUPs in a
Okay.
primary site. So that what will happen for load sharing, just like management point can take 25,000 clients and you are doing load sharing, right? So similarly here also you can have
Right.
multiple for load sharing.
Okay.
Okay. So see next. So we want to install Windows Server Update Services. So it says that it installs the internal database. No, don't install the internal database. Go with the SQL database, right? Because we already have Sccm SQL, right? So we'll use for everything SQL database. We're not doing just WSUS installation. We are doing WSUS to use it for Sccm, to integrate it with Sccm, right? So it is asking to store updates in the following location. Okay, let me give my Sccm source.
And
Hmm.
this storage location would be a DB, or
The location that I'm giving now.
yeah, correct.
No, this is on this SCP itself. So basically what it is asking is, it is asking where should I download the metadata file. So basically it will not download the updates. So well, let me give this and explain it to you. Just a minute. This space e source, create a new folder. WSUS updates. See, this is where you are giving the database server. Okay. The earlier place, the earlier screen what we gave was on the WSUS server or on the SCP server, you're giving a physical location wherein it can just download the metadata file. So what is metadata file? Metadata file is nothing but whenever your WSUS server contacts Microsoft Update Server, right? So it downloads every patch Tuesday. It downloads what are the updates available from Microsoft Update server. It will download as a manifest file or an XML file, wherein it will have saying that okay, these are the updates which are released. So it is not actually downloading the complete update. It is just downloading the information related to the updates and keeping that metadata file there. Later SCCM will synchronize that metadata file into SCCM console, and in the console it will show okay, these are the updates that are available on the WSUS server, right? Then you can take an appropriate action out of them, how many of the updates you wanted to download and how many of them you want to install or deploy, right? So once we proceed into the next steps, I think you'll get it in much easier way. So let me give the server name here. So this is the database server name, right? Under May Sccm on default instance. So if you have a specific instance, you'll give the instance name, but we have default instance, right? That is where we have created our SQL server. I mean to say our SCCM server. So let's have May SCCM successfully connected to server. Next, restart the destination server automatically if required. Install. So let it do that activity. So meanwhile, let me explain that XML funda once. So say suppose if 100 patches are released by MS for all products, all OS and products, right? Now, while configuring WSUS, right, or while configuring the SCCM SUP, you will select the categories. So while configuring SUP, you will select the categories, like you will select, okay, I require only security updates, okay, and I require security updates for only Win 7, plus I require it only for Office 2013. So these are the specific categories and products, and even the language I require it only for English. So when you have selected all this in your SUP, say ideally if you don't have SUP, you'll do all this in your WSUS, right? In this case, since we are integrating SCCM with WSUS, you don't configure anything on WSUS, you just install it and do the configuration on your software update point. So on the software update point, I'm saying that I want only security updates. I don't want updates, or I don't want hot fixes, or I don't want upgrades. So I require only security. I don't need critical updates, right? So you can define what exactly you want. You are saying this is what I want, and these are the products that I want it for. OS is Win 7 and Office 2013, and this is the language that I want. So once you have defined all these things here, so what happens is, in the backend, your WSUS will communicate with Microsoft Update Server, right? And it will tell, okay, these are the specific patches that I want. These are the specific products. Then it will say that, okay, you have for your specific selection, you have some 20 patches. Out of 100 patches that are released this month, you have 20 patches. So WSUS will download those 20 patches information. It is not downloading the actual 20 pages, it's just downloading those 20 pages information. That is what we call as metadata, right? It's an XML file. Now from your SCCM console, you're saying that synchronize sync uh, with WSUS. You're synchronizing SUP with WSUS. When you're synchronizing, all those 20 patches are visible in your console, right? In your SCM console, but none of them are downloaded or deployed. So the actual patches are not downloaded or deployed. They are just visible in your SCM console, right? Now what you'll do, you will look at those patches, right? And then you'll select, okay, I need out of these, I need these patches for Windows 7. These are for Windows 10. These are for server. Like that, if you want, you can categorize them, create packages, right? Then you download and deploy them to the respective collections, right? So first metadata XML file is for you to see. Later you will club them together with respect to OS or with respect to the month or however you want it to, right? You select them, bundle them together and create a deployment package out of it, that you download and install. So that we'll see today. Is this part clear, Amar?
Yes, Vinu, this is clear.
Okay. So yeah, configuration has been completed. Close, and there is a little bit of configuration complete. See, now what will happen is if you go to your SQL Management Studio, under SQL Management Studio, you will not find um, the database set, though you have given the database location. So ideally we are expecting a database to be here, your WSUS. All you have is your CM underscore may, which is configuration manager's database. Then you have your report servers, but you don't have your WSUS here, right? So what we will do now is, it says there is a post deployment configuration. You say, okay, go ahead and do the post installation tasks. And remember, I told you, you should not configure WSUS, right? You will only install WSUS and then cancel the configuration part and let Sccm SUP installation take over from there, and that should automatically configure the WSUS components, like as I showed you how to contact Microsoft Update Server, at what port it has to contact, or what are the different classifications, products, all that you will do it in the SUP installation. This is taking a little bit time. So currently, if you see update service packages, this everything is empty, right? Let me click this one more time. Okay, it is running. It should come up with a wizard asking you to create the database. Let me close the management studio. Also, we need to reboot the server. So it says, yeah, post deployment configuration is also completed. Okay, so fine. Let's do one thing in that case. Let me reboot the server. Meanwhile, let's trigger that Pixie password, right? We haven't given the Pixie password. And yeah, this one must be waiting here. So while retrieving policy, since we have only one required task sequence, it will show, it will be, directly that particular task sequence will be picked. Oh no, we have restarted the SCCM server, and that's the reason it is trying to retrieve policy, and it couldn't find the SCM server itself. That's what I was wondering. Why is it taking so long? I don't want the task sequence to fail. Before this fails, if the server starts, that would be great. So we are not lucky. It couldn't find in time. We pause this here. Anyways, we have to again clear the pixie flag to start it. So let's continue with our WSUS installation. So where were we? So we have just installed WSUS thing. The machine is using complete 4 GB and still I don't understand why is it so slow. Okay, so let's go to the Sccm console, administration, sites, servers and site system rules, add a new role, and this time we are adding software update point, right? Next, next, software update point. Okay, so there are two different uh, ports typically we give. So either to say WSS is configured to use ports 80 and 443 for client communications, right? Or WSS is configured to use ports 8530 and 8531 for client communication. Default settings for WSS on Windows Server 2012. So now typically what we give is we give this 8530 and 31, 8531. All right, and you'll make sure that your firewall has this exception to allow communications over 8530 and 8531, right? So in this case, either we can select 853031, or since it is lab, you can still proceed with 80 and 443. Anyways, I have completely stopped firewall, so it doesn't make any difference in my case. You will not see any block or any issues here.
So this communication to port is from the end user devices to this particular server, right?
Y-
WSS.
Yes, yes, yes.
So the communication port would be like that, right? And it is bidirectional.
Yeah, so basically the client communication, whenever it is trying to contact WSUS server, right? So it is from the client to the WSUS with 8530 and 8531. That's how it
Okay.
happens. Yeah. Okay.
But the push of the software is uh, from the same server, or no? It will be from the different server, and will it be on the same port?
See, the push of the server is also from the same server. You have the SCP server, right? So
Right.
it is from the same server. Your client machine will know that these are the patches and these are the updates it has to install. So it's again from the same server. You're right.
Oh,
So let me click next. What was there in the earlier? Okay, we are not using any proxy, right? WSUS server connection account provides from the site to the WSUS server. Okay, proxy. Okay, no, but yes, credentials. I'll give my existing account. This is for the communication from the site to the WSS server. Of course, in our case, the site server and the WSS server are the same, but in reality, in production. Yeah, so if you have multiple WSS servers, like if you have an upstream WSS server, so you'll ask it to synchronize from upstream. So typically what will happen if you have five, say suppose if you have five WSS servers, right? So you'll make one as an upstream WSS server, which will be talking to the Microsoft Update server, and then internally this server will be communicating with other WSS servers, right? So in this case, since this is the only one we have, we'll go with Microsoft Update. Okay, and this is the synchronization schedule. How frequently you want it to synchronize? So typically it synchronizes once in 7 days, or if you want to make any change, either you can make it now, or you can make it at a later stage from the Sccm console, right? And this is one more thing, like we discussed about superseding of patches or expiring patches, right? So the question here is immediately expire a superseded software update, or do not expire a superseded software update until the software update is superseded for a specific period. So typically what will happen, as I told you, Microsoft would expire a patch and then they will supersede with a new update, right? So the question here is, after the Microsoft supersedes with a new update, do you still want to maintain the expired patch? And if you want to maintain it, how long you want to maintain it in your console? Or do you want to mark it as expired immediately? Right? So as I told you, this depends on the compliance thing. Like, are you going to push the patches to your environment immediately, or you are going to push it after 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months? So based on that, here you can make the change, right? So the default thing is months to wait before a superseded software update is expired is 3 months. This is the default one. In our case, since it is a lab, you can make it as immediately expire a superseded software update.
so This would also depend on whether all the end user devices have got the patches updated or not. If we expire it immediately, and certain systems which are offline or not connected on the network wouldn't get updated, right?
I
If
didn't
we make it
I didn't get your question. Could you please repeat it?
so, so basically, this immediate is to expire it. So suppose there is a feature update which we are doing it, or a feature update which we have to do it on the end user device. Now we once it is deployed or the patch is available for a period of time, and we then want to expire it after a period. In this case, we are doing it immediately, but in a real-time scenario, we'll have to keep it till all the devices have been updated, right? At least to a certain percentage, 98% of all the end user device. So do we have to keep it up to that period of time, or how is it?
Mm, okay, I don't know if I got your question completely, but if I so, okay, let me answer this. See, if say suppose in last month they have released a patch, okay, a security update, and this month they've identified that a new patch has been released, which is superseding the earlier one, right? So that means since you have already superseded with the latest patch, and if you have already targeted this newer one to the end user machines, right? If you have already targeted them, then there is no need of the expired patch. You can no need of the older patch. You can immediately mark it as expired in your console. But if
But
you, yeah, go ahead.
that's only possible if I am aware that it's going to supersede. If that's not the case, then
Okay, let me take it on a notepad. Okay, you tell me the scenario so that then I can take. Okay, in the month of April. Okay, I'm assuming
yeah,
there is one update, and
yeah,
in the month of May, that one update is now superseded. Okay,
correct.
and you have KB2 in place.
Yes,
KB2, right? So earlier there is KB1.
yeah.
Now tell me, what is the scenario that you're saying?
So I'm saying KB1 we are configuring to delete it immediately as soon as it expires, right? That's
Yes.
how we are configuring.
Yeah, we are saying that market has expired in the SCM console as soon as it is expired. Okay, yeah.
So how do I get to know? So it is superseding in KB2, but we are not sure. KB2 is not yet released. How do I mark it well in advance for KB1?
No, 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 no. See, if you go by the reading once again, so what it says, immediately expire is superseded. See, we are expiring a superseded software. That means only after you know that there is a KB2, only then we are expiring it.
Oh,
So
all right, okay.
do not
But
expire a superseded software update until the software update is superseded for a specific period. So we are not directly immediately expired and we are not deleting it. So what we are saying is after it is superseded, immediately expire it.
okay, yeah,
You
then
got
that makes sense.
yeah,
Yes, yeah.
but then why do we have two radio buttons there is what I'm saying. In April, Microsoft released KB1 update. Okay, and you say suppose in the April month, typically what we do in the month of April, you do not push immediately to your production machines, right? So what we are doing in the month of May, we are actually deploying KB1 to production, right? And say suppose this has been displaced in the month of June, so that just to give you a little bit of time there. So in the month of May, we have deployed KB1 to production. Okay, and in the month of June, KB1 is superseded by KB2. But say when are you going to deploy KB2? And actually in production you're going to deploy this in the month of July. KB2 is deployed to prod. This happens in the month of July. That means if you immediately in the month of May, if you in the month of June, if you immediately expire it, KB1 is expired, but KB2 is not there in the production environment. In your case, you are pushing KB2 only in the month of July. So what you can set here is, after KB2 is released and KB1 is superseded by KB2, wait for at least 1 month and then expire it, or wait for at least a couple of months and then expire it, so that you know your cycle is only going after 1 month or 2 months. So until such time, the KB1, which is already in the production environment, which is already deployed into the production environment, should still remain as is until KB2 is actually deployed in the production. You're getting my point, Amar?
Yeah, I got it, Mana. So when we say expire, what exactly it is trying to do? Is it trying to delete the
So
software?
so it'll stop deploying that. It will stop deploying that. So
Okay.
yeah, say suppose if you have already targeted to some 100 machines, right? So it will stop deploying KB1 to the any newer machine, and once you have KB2, so KB2 will automatically uninstall the KB1, or it will upgrade KB1 to KB2. So that's the behavior of the patch itself. So that is not in your control how KB1 will be removed and KB2 will be superseding it.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go back here. So in our case, we are saying immediately expire superseded software update. But typically, as I said, you'll go with at least 1 or 2 months here, and the default value is 3 months. So this is where you check the categories, the classifications I've told you, right? So do you want critical definition updates or what and all? So you can say that I don't need service packs, I don't need update rollups. Maybe in our case, so that the synchronization will happen fast. Otherwise, if you select everything here, synchronization will take a lot of time. So instead of security updates, just say only critical updates. And here all products. So let's select what products we want. So by default, it is showing all of them. So let's select only Windows 7 to save some time. Otherwise, the synchronization itself will take ages. Let me see if anything else is selected here. Office, I don't want all of them. I just need 2010. So basically, why is it showing only till 2010 and not 2013 and 2016? Because currently in your environment, if you had Office 2013 and 2016, right, then automatically it will show even those here if you're in your environment. But in our environment, we don't, right? So that's the reason. Otherwise, as and when you have any new products installed in your environment, so those products will be shown in the console. So it will ask, do you want even patches for these new products? You can select it from within the console. Okay. So that's it. So all we have selected is Windows 7 and Office 2010. Next. So as I told you, language. So we need only English. We don't need others. So in real-time in production environment. So whichever location you are supporting, you would select all of them. So with this, what we just did is like we have created a software. We have created a WSUS server. We haven't configured it, right? And without getting into WS, we have not gone into WSUS console, right? So we have not configured it, but what we did, we have created SCP on top of it. And now if you go to software library and software updates, see currently you'll not have any software updates here, right? There are no software updates, no software update groups or deployment packages, nothing is here. Now what you'll do, you'll synchronize software updates, right? So before synchronizing, I would suggest it is always preferred to restart the server once the SUP is installed, right? So let me restart quickly.
But there's already some um, deployment happening
Where?
on the other machine. on the other machine, on the other computer?
You mean to say the Windows 10 task sequence? No, I have not started, right? Just
Oh, okay.
I turned it
Okay.
off. And let me stop recording for a while. So let me meanwhile open the logs location. So the log that we need to check is w sync manager log file. Okay, let's go to software library, software updates. So currently you don't have any software updates here. So let's synchronize software updates. Let's see how it goes. These are at 712. Let me just do once again if it was not triggered properly earlier. Synchronize, are you sure? Yes, I said yes.
Are these updates happening from the internet or
You're right. You're right. I should also start the internet. I've actually stopped the internet thing. I'm just wondering if the post configuration deployment, whatever we have done, uh, did it create the database or not? Or were there any issues creating the DB? Yeah, it has created the database. SUS database has been created there. Let's do one thing. Let me go to the administration node sites and let's configure the software update point. See if there is something that we need to configure. Let's do that now. So these are the things what we have selected there, right? During the installation. Yeah, synchronize from Microsoft Update. That's fine. Only the critical updates, products, Office 2010 and Windows 7 sync schedule. Yeah, okay. Enable synchronization on a schedule. So by default it is 7 days. That's fine. Language is English. So everything is fine. Only thing is I can think of making it, you know, much faster, but that's the default schedule. But at least for the first time when I've triggered it, I should have started. Yep. If nothing works, then I'll restart the SMS executive service, which is responsible to check all these different components, right? So this is my SCP server, and if for some reason it's hung or it's not working properly, all I can do is I can restart my SMS executive service. So this will restart all the components on this particular Sccm server, and I'm hoping that that will take care of it. So I see that SMS executive has started the WSS sync manager and says its next retry sync will be at 8:07 a.m. But if I'm triggering it now, why should it wait for a retry sync? Let me check the WSS control manager. This is okay. Ignorable error. So it says it's waiting till 8:07 to trigger the sync.
So probably that's the time when it will get synchronized, isn't it?
No, what happens is, like, the moment you have installed your SCP, typically in all my sessions, or what I do immediately, I trigger synchronization so that uh, the synchronization will happen quickly. So sometimes what will happen during, say today I've started the server, and we were on off recording, right? So meanwhile, what happened was it tried to connect to the internet to download, and it failed. So since it failed, the default wait period for it was 1 hour. So it failed at 7:07. So it says I'll wait for till 8:07. So even though I'm trying to synchronize now, it has already the retry sync flag set. So it is waiting for that 1 hour. Had it been like 7:07, if the internet was there, or if we had started manually synchronizing during that time, even before 7:07, right? We would have not waited for this 1 hour thing,
Okay.
right? So what? Let's tweak it. Let's tweak it. Let's do something here. Let's see how this works. Oh, wait a minute. Where's the other log? If I'm synchronizing now, will it see that it's already 8:0? Oops. Okay. Let's see what happens. See, in production, you'll not do this. You'll wait for the synchronization to happen. Just because we have limited time, I'm trying to fuzz in the process. Ideally, if you have in your domain, you'll have your time server, right? So it will, even if you make any changes to it, it will set it back to the proper time. Okay, this time it tried to sync, and it says WSUS update source not found on site may. Please refer to WCM log. Okay, I have already WCM log opened here. Where was that? Okay. hmm Let me do this. Okay. I don't want to configure WSUS. Nope. Hey, Aman, just give me a minute. I'm just stopping the recording for a while. So yes, Aman. So as discussed, what I'm trying to show you is I'm trying to show you some other video. You know, so that we don't waste in troubleshooting that particular server. It could be a problem with the internet connectivity, or we already have mailapp.com in the public domain, as well as even our thing is also same mailapp.com. Maybe I guess the FQDN is the issue, because I have not provided it properly while configuring the WSUS. Maybe that's the reason it was, maybe it is failing at the DNS, or why it is not able to contact. Because now what it says is, even after providing the internet and even after providing restarting the WSS service and SMS executive, and even I've changed the time, right? So it's tried to download, and now it says that it is not able to find the connectivity between the WSUS server and the SCP server, right? So rather than wasting time on that and troubleshooting it, which I will anyways do it after this class, but I wanted to show you some other video. So wherein, so as you can see, here as well, I have the similar scenario. So this is where we are, right? So we have configured this WSUS and SCP, and after that, when I'm checking the logs, so let me forward and show it to you and pause it here. So as you can see, it says next scheduled sync is retry sync at so and so time at 7:16 on that particular day. And if I forward it, so what I did, I've restarted the server. Okay, so now if I go to, I think I wanted to check the software update point status on that particular day after restarting. I have to go to the site status and check. Yeah, I checked the WSOS and Sync Manager. So it says synchronization in progress. So if you now look at the log file, you can see synchronization happening. So as you can see, it says WSOS is synchronizing updates, right? So ideally, this is what is expected. It has to synchronize the categories, it has to synchronize the classifications, and then start synchronizing the updates. And though it says synchronizing updates, as I told you, it's not synchronizing the complete updates. It is just synchronizing the metadata XML here. So let me forward it a little bit to show you the progress. So it says 526 out of 14,220 items. So maybe in that session I've selected too many categories. So you can see the percentage as well. It says 3%, right? Let me forward and show you. As you can see, the percentage and the ETA is in next 15 minutes. Okay, so it says done synchronization, and then now you'll be able to see all of them in your console. Did it stop somewhere or okay? So as I told you, on that day I've selected too many updates, so you can see all of them downloading. And yep. So the total sync time is 1 hour 32 minutes, 1 hour 22 minutes, and it has downloaded all those updates. Now let me show you the next video. Now if you see under all software updates, you see you have all those different security updates, everything downloaded. So I can see 950 items downloaded. Right, buddy. So once all of them are downloaded, I mean to say all of them are visible here. Let me pause at this point, and if you can see, so there is the title of the patch, and then it is showing four 5 columns here, and those are very important. Let's go through them. So one, it says is required, so whether you require a server 2012 patch or not. So you have downloaded it from the your update server, right, to, and you have synchronized the metadata information to your Sccm console. However, is it really required? So are you really supporting a server 2012 in your environment, right? So how does that information is passed to SCCM? So that information is passed from the client agent. So I don't remember if I've told you this yesterday. So as part of the client agent, a scan cycle will run, and that scan cycle, when it runs, it will identify, it will download this entire metadata XML file onto the client machine, and it will check on my client machine, do I have server 2012? Do I need this patch or not? And then it will send back a report back to the management point saying that these are the patches which are required for me, these are the patches which are not required for me. Like that, every single machine will send back the information based on the products and the OS installed on that machine, right? And based on that, here you'll get a check mark, like it will show you here like yes, required for one machine, required or not required, right? So based on that, you can take an action, whether if you don't have you don't, if you have a particular patch which is not required at all by even a single computer, right, then there is no point for you to deploy it, right? So say suppose you have a patch for .NET some 4 dot version, and in your environment you don't have .NET 4, you have only .NET 1.1 and 2, for example. So when you have this .NET 4 or 3.5, it would say that required is 0. So none of the machines require the patch because you don't have .NET that version in your environment. Then you don't need to deploy it. So that's one thing. Second, installed. So on how many machines it is installed? Currently, since it is installed on none, so it says 0. Percentage compliant. Percentage compliant is based on required versus installed. So if it is required on 500 machines and installed on only 200 machines, so that is the percentage compliant. 200 divided by 500 is the percentage compliance. So if the required is if the required is just 10 machines, right, and installed is on only 10 machines, even then it can be 100% compliant. So don't think that the patch is only installed on 10 machines, and you have 10,000 machines in your environment. So the compliance goes with how many machines requires it, and out of those how many are installed. So based on that, you'll get a percentage compliance, right? And then downloaded and deployed. As I told you, this is just a metadata XML file. The actual patch is not downloaded. So currently, the moment you synchronize, it will only show that those are not downloaded and those are not deployed. So once you create a deployment package, you download them and you deploy to a specific collection, right? Now, while deploying to a specific collection, say suppose in the month of June, right, you have some 100 patches which includes Windows 7 server, maybe if not server, at least Windows 7 Office, and some 10 different products are already there, right? And now if you're deploying this entire thing to all your 10,000 machines, right? And the 10,000 machines have Windows 7 as well as Windows 10 and different operating systems, right? So what will happen, because you have that required flag, right? Even though you are pushing 100 patches to a collection of Windows 7, Windows 10 and different operating systems, based on that required check mark, which is on the client machine as well, right? Only respective patches will be installed. You don't need to again categorize and create one for Windows 7 and push only to Windows 7 machines, one for Windows 10 and push only for Windows 10. You don't need to do that. Even if you're pushing all different operating system patches and pushing to all systems, based on that required flag, only the respective patches will be installed and others will be skipped. Amar, is this clear?
Yes, Manoj.
Okay, so since now we have all the patches downloaded into this environment, we'll create deployment packages and see how the patches will be actually deployed to the end user machines. So let me do it on Monday. Now it is already 8 o'clock. Let me do it on Monday. So before Monday, what I'll do, since this is just a video, I'll try to fix our actual environment, because in actual environment we don't have the patches, right? So let me fix it. It should be a minute small change. So let me do that and fix this part, and by Monday we'll have all the patches to take it further. Right, buddy?
Okay, Manoj. Okay.
So any questions before I wind up today's session?
Nothing, Manoj, nothing at this point.
Okay, okay. Fine, Amar, then. Take care and have a nice weekend. See you on Monday.
You too. Happy. Bye-bye.